should people discriminate? Or more accurately, can people discriminate? And if they can, what should be the limits? Let's explore that next. It's been a long time since I made one of these. Not that I haven't had a lot of things I wanted to talk about, but because posting anything except attacks on religion around here essentially gets ignored. So I'm not particularly enthused to spend a lot of time and effort making videos that nobody's going to watch or respond to or care about. But that said, I recently had an encounter with someone who started asserting that all conservatives were racists and sexists, and you know the drill. So I thought it was time to actually get my thoughts on this down. And yes, I'm sure that almost nobody who watches this is going to agree with me. But I'm used to that. I piss everyone off. Rationality tends to do that. So let's get started. So first, let me say that this is, like most of my positions, a completely pragmatic, realistic take on the question, which that in and of itself is going to piss a lot of people off. I live in the real world, and you, whether you like it or not, do too. So we have to look at things from that perspective, what actually happens in reality, why it happens, and then we can make some reasonable arguments about what we should allow to happen and what we just have to live with. Because whether people like it or not, whether it comforts people or not, reality is all that really matters, and pretending we get to arbitrarily ignore reality and just make up our own, that's just not how this works. So, humans have evolved to be discriminatory to a certain degree. We just have. According to a study published by Arizona State University in 2005, humans are hardwired to be prejudicial. We're just programmed by evolution as a defense mechanism to protect us from outsiders, from people who are different from us. We just are. Now, like a lot of things that we have in our evolutionary past, it isn't all that useful today, just like pattern recognition makes us see faces in clouds and Jesus on toast. It's a relic of a time when it was necessary to be able to spot predators in dense jungle, and now it's just an evolutionary curiosity. But that doesn't make it go away, does it? The fact that people are naturally discriminatory is something that we have to accept. We don't have to like it, but we can't pretend that it isn't real. And we have to keep in mind that human intellect can override these base evolutionary directives if we actually set our mind to it. So just because discrimination is something hardwired into our brains, that doesn't mean that we necessarily should accept it or that we have to, although we really can't do anything about it. We can work around it, it's just an uphill battle to do so. So I'm not saying it's okay, I'm saying that you need to consider the reality of the situation before you just mindlessly scream at people and call them names. Maybe these people just don't know any better, maybe these people need help. Or maybe, just maybe, it really doesn't actually matter if they are. And that's something that a lot of people are going to hate. See, I personally really don't care if you hate other people. I just don't. Whatever you do in the comfort of your own head, that's entirely up to you. You can hate black people, you can hate women, you can hate Jews. Hey, knock yourself out. I don't care. It doesn't really matter because there isn't anything anyone can do about it anyhow. I mean, honestly, how are you going to forcibly change anyone's mind without their consent? You can't do it. You just can't. So it doesn't matter if you're a black person who hates whites, if you're a woman who hates men, if you're a Muslim who hates Christians. None of that makes any difference because nobody can actually stop it. Nobody can change it. So let's not worry about it that much. Where this changes is when you open your mouth and express those discriminatory attitudes to the world. Because while what you keep in your own head is your own business, the second you let it out, there can be consequences. Social consequences. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have the right to free speech to express yourself however you wish to, but for every action, whether you like it or not, there is a cost, and you'd better be willing to pay that cost before you open your mouth. Otherwise, don't do it. This reminds me of another recent discussion I had where someone was complaining that an atheist teenager in Egypt was being prosecuted for insulting Islam, and my response was, hey, it's his own damn fault. And it is. He lives in a country where insulting Islam is a crime. This isn't some closely guarded secret. Everyone knows it. I might think it's a stupid law, but that doesn't stop it from being the law. And he knew it before he opened his mouth, and he still did it. He knew that there were consequences, and he did it anyway. Now, you don't have to agree with those consequences. I personally don't agree with those consequences, but they still exist. They don't evaporate because you don't like them. You don't get your own set of rules because you don't like the ones that are out there. So he's probably going to suffer some pretty severe consequences, and I honestly don't feel that sorry for him because he's an idiot. Whether anyone likes it or not, free speech is not a universal human right. There is no First Amendment in Egypt, or, for that matter, in most of the rest of the world. You live where you live, and you have to follow the rules where you live, or make an effort to get them changed through whatever means happen to exist, but you can't just ignore them. That's just dumb. So, while you can hate whoever you want to hate, that doesn't grant you permission to act on that hatred. And this is something a lot of people don't seem to understand. Sure, you can be a racist son of a bitch all you want, and everyone around you is going to think you're a prick. So what? You might not be invited to a lot of parties, but hey, who cares? You be you, I guess. But what you can't do is take that hatred and put it into action. You can't actually harm people based on your hatred. And this is where a lot of people seem to get it all completely wrong. I mean, we can go back to those cases of bakers and other business owners refusing to do business with gay couples. Yeah, I think those people are assholes, and I think that their religious beliefs, upon which all of this nonsense is based, are completely idiotic. But they are free to hate whoever they want to hate for whatever reason they like, so long as they keep it in their heads. If they open their mouths, they might face some social flack for their views. Or maybe not. Depends on the area that they live in. But where they went wrong, at least in one of those cases, is that they did this as a business, not as an individual. And in at least one of those cases, if I remember correctly, their business operated in a location that had local laws forbidding businesses from discriminating on the basis of sexual orientation. And that's where they went wrong, not hating people, but discriminating against them as a business. See, there's a difference between you, the individual person that you are, and a business that you, the individual person, own and run. They are not one and the same thing. In most places, your business must be licensed, and part of that business license that you are required to have also requires you to follow the laws of the land that apply to your business. local, state, federal, maybe even international, all of those laws apply to your business and your business dealings. You can't just say, I have a personal belief. So what? That's your belief. This is your business. Your business does not have beliefs. They are not and cannot be the same thing, no matter how much you wish they were. If you hate Koreans, just to pick a nationality out of a hat, that doesn't mean that your business can refuse to do business with Koreans. You can refuse to talk to them out on the street all day long, but the second you're in business with a business license required to follow local, state, federal, etc. laws, you are no longer you. You are a representative of your business. And your business can't do that. It doesn't even matter if it's your business or not. If you work for Microsoft and you call someone and unleash a string of racial epithets at them, Microsoft can, will, and should fire you for it. It isn't a free speech issue. You are a representative of a company paid by that company, and they can and will control your speech and your actions all they want within the bounds of the law while you are in their employ and on the job. And sometimes even when you're not. That's an inherent agreement that you make with your employer when you take the job. If you don't like it, quit. Go find another job that won't stop you from being a jackass if you can. Good luck. If you own the company, close it. Do not have a business license. Then you're just you, and you can be a jerk all you like. But the one thing that you can't do, the one thing that I'm seeing a lot of people try to do, especially on the left, but also increasingly on the right as well, is to try to personally or financially or socially harm people who say things that you just don't like, just because you don't like it. The only counter, the only acceptable counter to speech that you don't like is more speech. It's not calling their employer and insisting they be fired. It's not spreading personal and private details of that person's life to the media. If you can't talk to another person about something you disagree with, like a rational human being, then they're not the problem. You are. This is what happens when people's political ideologies become so entirely polarized that they can't see outside of their echo chamber. And it happens more often the further you go to the extremes. Now, does that mean that you should put up with racists regardless of their skin color? No, absolutely not. But if you can't talk to them like an adult, if you can't have a rational conversation without screeching, then walk away. Don't talk to them. Don't associate with them. Because while having legitimate racists and sexists around sucks, you're the one being a complete asshole. And that shouldn't be acceptable either. Just be the best person you can be. Don't think that you get to run other people's lives. Don't pretend that you get to destroy what you don't like just because you don't like it. Grow up, be a decent person, deal with the reality that you actually live in, and stop pretending that you get to live in an ideologically pure fantasy land. It doesn't work that way, and by thinking that it does, you're just making yourself look bad. For the racists, stop it. For the religious zealots, knock it off. We all have to live together on this planet. Stop making it hard for everyone else. Because you're not helping. You're just not. And that goes for the black people who hate white people, for the white people who hate black people, for all the people who want to live in a racially pure environment. That's stupid. Go fuck yourselves. You know, this is not that hard, but you people are idiots. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my take. But what the hell do I know, right?
Boom, boom, boom. bum